Have you ever looked around and wondered, why do good people seem to struggle? Honest folks, hard workers, playing by the rules but barely scraping by. It's a question as old as time itself. Why do the bad guys often seem to have it so easy? They cut corners, cheat the system, and somehow end up living the high life. Is it really true that nice guys finish last? That honesty is just a fast track to being broke? Tonight we're diving deep into this age-old dilemma. We're going to explore the reasons why good people often struggle while those who choose the low road seem to prosper. Buckle up, folks. This is going to be a bumpy ride. It feels like the universe is playing a cruel joke. But what if I told you there are actual reasons why this happens? Reasons rooted in psychology, sociology, and even economics. On one hand, we have the good guys, the ones who believe in fairness, integrity, and hard work. They follow the rules even when it's hard. They believe in earning their success, not taking shortcuts. But this commitment to doing what's right often comes at a price. They might get passed over for promotions because they refuse to play dirty. They might struggle to get ahead because they're too busy helping others. On the other hand, we have those who operate by a different set of rules. Rules that prioritize personal gain above all else. They lie, cheat, and manipulate their way to the top, leaving a trail of broken promises and shattered dreams in their wake. And here's the kicker: they often get away with it. Let's talk about the honest strivers out there. These are the people who get up every morning and do what they believe is right. They work hard, pay their bills on time, and treat others with respect. They might not be perfect, but they genuinely try to live by a moral code. They're the neighbors you can always count on, the co-workers who go the extra mile, the friends who always have your back. They believe in playing by the rules, even when no one is watching. These are the people who were raised to believe that hard work pays off. They were taught that honesty is the best policy, even when it's difficult. They believe in earning their success, not cutting corners or stepping on others to get to the top. But here's the thing about living a life of integrity: it can be expensive. In a world that often rewards ruthlessness and greed, playing by the rules can put you at a distinct disadvantage. While the rule breakers are busy cutting corners and taking shortcuts, the honest strivers are stuck playing a different game. They're working long hours, following proper procedures, and refusing to compromise their values. And guess what? It often means they fall behind. Their honesty might be mistaken for weakness, their integrity for naivete. It's enough to make you wonder if the system itself is rigged against the good guys. And you know what? It just might be. Think about it. We live in a society that often glorifies wealth and success, regardless of how they were obtained. We're bombarded with images of luxury and extravagance, constantly reminded that more is better. The system often rewards those who are willing to exploit others, to bend the rules, to prioritize their own gain above all else. We see it in the corporate world, where CEOs rake in massive salaries while their employees struggle to make ends meet. Let's face it, good people are often easy targets. They're trusting, empathetic, and believe the best in others. They assume that most people operate with the same moral compass. This, unfortunately, makes them vulnerable to manipulation. They're the friends who lend money and never get paid back, the colleagues who get stuck with extra work because they're reliable. They're the ones who always give second chances, even when they probably shouldn't. Why does this happen? Because those who are willing to exploit others are often very good at it. They're masters of manipulation, skilled at identifying and leveraging the weaknesses of others. We've all heard the saying, "It's not what you know, it's who you know." And while hard work and talent are certainly important, there's no denying the power of connections. Those who engage in unethical behavior often understand this implicitly. They invest time and energy in building relationships, not necessarily based on trust or shared values, but on what they can gain. They attend the right parties, join the exclusive clubs, and cozy up to anyone who can advance their agenda. Meanwhile, honest individuals might be hesitant to engage in what feels like superficial networking. This approach, while admirable, can put them at a disadvantage in a world where who you know often trumps what you know. Let's be honest, Doing the wrong thing can be tempting. It offers a shortcut, a way to get what you want without having to put in the time, effort, or sacrifice. Need a promotion? Just sabotage your coworker. Want to win that contract? Slip someone a bribe. Desperate for that raise? Pad your expense report. The rewards, at least in the short term, can be intoxicating. And here's the kicker. Unethical behavior is often rewarded, at least initially. This creates a dangerous cycle where unethical behavior is not only tolerated but encouraged. When unethical behavior becomes the norm, it creates a climate of distrust and suspicion. People become cynical, jaded, and less likely to believe in the goodness of others. They start to assume the worst, expecting everyone around them to be looking out for themselves. This erosion of trust can have far-reaching consequences, impacting everything from personal relationships to the very fabric of society. This is the insidious nature of widespread unethical behavior. Now let's talk about how these bad actors operate. They're masters of disguise, often able to charm their way into positions of power. They know how to talk the talk, how to project an image of success and confidence, even if it's all a carefully constructed facade. They're experts at reading people, identifying their weaknesses and insecurities, and then exploiting them for their own gain. They might present themselves as charismatic leaders, visionary entrepreneurs, or generous philanthropists. But behind the carefully crafted persona lies a ruthless ambition and a willingness to do whatever it takes to get ahead. These individuals often rise to power not through genuine leadership, but through fear and intimidation. They create a climate of fear and uncertainty, where questioning their authority or challenging their decisions has consequences. They might use threats, blackmail, or smear campaigns to silence critics and maintain their grip on power. They surround themselves with yes-men who are too afraid to speak truth to power. This fear-based leadership style can be incredibly effective in the short term, allowing them to consolidate power and quash dissent. Sadly, the success of these unethical individuals often relies on the complicity of others. They thrive in environments where corruption is tolerated, even encouraged. This might involve turning a blind eye to unethical practices, participating in shady deals, or actively covering up wrongdoing. This culture of silence and complicity allows unethical behavior to flourish, creating a vicious cycle that can be incredibly difficult to break. While those who engage in unethical behavior might seem to prosper in the short term, their success is often built on a foundation of lies, manipulation, and exploitation. Like a house of cards, it's only a matter of time before the facade crumbles, and the consequences of their actions catch up with them. Their reputation might be tarnished, their relationships shattered, and their freedom jeopardized. The very things they sought to gain, wealth, power, and status, can ultimately lead to their downfall. History teaches us that the truth has a way of coming to light. Let's talk about whistleblowers. These are the brave souls who risk their careers, reputations, and even their personal safety to expose wrongdoing. They're the ones who speak up when they see something wrong, even when it would be easier to stay silent. Think of people like Sharon Watkins of Enron, who tried to warn her CEO about the company's accounting fraud, or Jeffrey Wigand, the former tobacco executive who exposed the industry's lies about the dangers of smoking. These individuals are often driven by a strong sense of ethics and a belief that the truth must be told. They understand the risks involved, but they're willing to make personal sacrifices for the greater good. However, their acts of courage often come at a steep price. We've all encountered them, the corporate ladder climbers. These are the individuals who are laser-focused on reaching the top, no matter the cost. They're masters of office politics, skilled at manipulating situations and people to their advantage. They might take credit for the work of others, sabotage their colleagues, or spread rumors to undermine their rivals. They're ruthless in their pursuit of power, leaving a trail of broken relationships and shattered dreams in their wake. These individuals might enjoy temporary success, but their unethical behavior often catches up with them in the end. One of the most egregious examples of unethical behavior is the Ponzi scheme, named after Charles Ponzi, who became notorious for his fraudulent investment operations in the 1920s. In a Ponzi scheme, early investors are paid returns not from actual profits, but from the money invested by later investors. This creates the illusion of a successful investment opportunity, attracting more and more people willing to hand over their savings. The mastermind behind a Ponzi scheme often cultivates an aura of success and exclusivity, using high-pressure sales tactics and promises of unrealistic returns to lure in unsuspecting victims. However, like all pyramid schemes, a Ponzi scheme is inherently unsustainable. Eventually, the flow of new investors dries up and the entire structure collapses, leaving countless individuals financially devastated. Sometimes it's not just individuals who are corrupt, but the very systems they operate within. Institutional bias skews policies and practices in favor of certain groups, often at the expense of others. This bias can be explicit or insidious, woven into institutions. Think about the justice system. We like to believe it's blind, but the reality is often different. Studies show people of color face harsher sentences than their white counterparts. This isn't just about individual prejudice, but systemic biases in policing and sentencing. Let's talk about loopholes, those pesky little exceptions and technicalities that allow individuals to skirt the spirit of the law while technically staying within the letter of it. They're the legal equivalent of a magician's sleight of hand, diverting your attention while they pull off their tricks. And who's best at exploiting these loopholes? Often, it's those with the most resources and the least moral scruples. We see this in finance, where complex tax codes and offshore accounts shield fortunes from taxation, while the average person struggles to make ends meet. Perhaps the most pervasive form of systemic favoritism is the culture of winning at all costs that permeates so many aspects of our society. It's the idea that success is the ultimate measure of worth, and any means of achieving it is justified. We see it in the business world, where profits are often prioritized over ethical considerations. We see it in sports, where athletes are pressured to perform at their peak, even if it means resorting to performance-enhancing drugs. This win-at-all-costs mentality creates an environment where unethical behavior is not only tolerated but celebrated. Cheating on exams is seen as smart, cutting corners in business is just being savvy, and manipulating others is simply playing the game. This toxic mindset sends the message that integrity and ethics are expendable as long as you come out on top. So, what can we do about this systemic favoritism? The first step is recognizing that it exists. We need to challenge the notion that the system is inherently fair and acknowledge that the rules often benefit those already in positions of power. We need to demand transparency and accountability from our institutions, holding them responsible for addressing bias and closing loopholes that allow unethical behavior to thrive. This isn't about tearing down the system, but about making it fairer and more just for everyone. It's about creating a society where success is measured not just by material wealth or social status, but by the integrity and compassion we show towards one another. It's about building a world where doing the right thing is not only the ethical choice, but also the path to a more just and equitable future for all. So where does this leave us? Are we doomed to live in a world where those who cheat and lie always come out on top? Not necessarily. Remember, the success of those who operate unethically is often fleeting. Their empires, built on deceit and manipulation, are inherently unstable. They might enjoy a temporary advantage, but their actions often have a way of catching up with them. The honest strivers, on the other hand, might face an uphill battle, but they're playing the long game. They understand that true success isn't measured by the size of your bank account or the number of zeros on your paycheck. It's about living a life of integrity, treating others with respect, and making a positive contribution to the world. It's about finding fulfillment in doing what's right, even when it's difficult, knowing that your actions, however small, can make a difference. The question is, what kind of world do we want to live in? Do we accept a system that rewards greed and exploitation, or do we demand better? The answer, my friends, is up to us. Each of us has a role to play in creating a more just and equitable society. We can start by choosing to live and work with integrity, even when it's hard. We can support businesses and organizations that operate ethically. We can hold our elected officials accountable for their actions and teach our children the value of honesty, fairness, and compassion. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and the collective will of individuals. But if we want to create a world where good triumphs over evil, we need to start somewhere. And hey, while you're at it, why not hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video? Let's spread the word and inspire others to join the fight for a more just and equitable world.